Hello, everyone. In this episode, we will finally see how to create a resource group. In the previous episode, we learned that resource groups can help you to manage resources. In this one, we will finally deploy a few resource groups and resources inside it. Well, this will help you to understand how to create, organize, and manage resource group effectively, specifically for your Azure cloud environment. So let's get started. Creating and organizing your resources with resource group. Resource groups act like containers, remember, or folders for Azure resources. Here's how you use them efficiently. First task, create a resource group. You can set these resource group up by using Azure Portal, which is actually a GUI interface, or you can also create resource group via CLI, that is command line interface, using PowerShell or Bash. Or you can also push a ARM template, that is your JSON template, to automate the process of creating resource groups. All right, so resource group can be created in multiple ways. Then organize the resource group by function. Well, resource group based on or resource group should be based on applications, projects, environments, or maybe departments, such as a DevOps department, testing department, finance department, HR, and many more. Then when you are creating resources inside it, use tags. Well, trust me, tags will help you a lot for manageability in the future. So use tags to categorize resources by team, cost center, or by owner, or by department, making cost tracking and reporting much easier. Remember, a resource can have multiple tags as well, which means one resource might be connected or subjected to multiple departments. So a resource can have multiple tags. After all, tag is just a name and key value. Then think about consistent deployments. Well, if you are repeating a deployment again and again for multiple departments, and you know that the environment will not change, it is quite static, and you have to repeat it multiple times. So it only makes sense to automate that process. Try to create or deploy ARM templates for a standardized environment. Then RBAC means once your infra is there, then start protecting it. Here you assign access to your resource groups to a trusted person, and you give that person a level of privilege or control over your resources. That control might be for full modification, read only, or some other specific tasks. Remember to follow the least privilege model here. Only give the privilege which that person need to do the job. Best practices for resource group naming and structure. Well, don't just create random resource groups. Remember, if a resource group have many resources inside it, then changing the name of the resource group is very difficult. By the way, you cannot even change the name. What I'm saying is, if there are multiple resources, you have to move the resources first to a new resource group with the proper name. All right, so a well-structured cloud environment starts with a clear naming convention. A very easy concept, but a very important one as well. So with that, you should be consistent. Follow a standardized format that reflects the purpose of the group. Use key identifiers. You can include details like region, project, or environment in your name. Example, you can say RG production, that is region production or resource group production. Then you can put West US, and then you can put app. So the whole name can be RG production West US application. So that also helps to tell you that this is a resource group for production in Western US, and there's application inside it. Some logic should be there. How about environment based grouping? Well, here you keep your DevOps or development environment or operation environment, testing and production resources separate from each other. Why will you do that? Of course, for better manageability and security. Plus, don't go overboard. Keep it simple. A resource group with too many services will be difficult to manage. If you keep it simple and for a specific use case, it will help you to clearly manage the security and performance of your resource group. So don't put all the eggs in one basket. Avoid that. Can you do that? Of course you can, but don't do it. Keep it simple. Then also plan for scalability. Design your structure with future company growth in mind. So you don't have to reorganize later. Means you don't have to move the resources from one location to other because that kind of housekeeping will take a lot of time and manual errors can actually occur. So let's go to our lab and create some resource group and see other option a resource group provide to manage resources. I will see you in the lab.
All right, now let's check how to actually create and manage resource groups. So we are in Azure and I'm logged into my Azure portal. And to create a resource group, you can search for it, resource group. Or if you have already used it, then you will have this resource group feature in the most recent services you used. To create one, you go to resource groups and click on create. Here you have to connect your resource group with a subscription to manage the lifecycle of this resource group. I only have one subscription, so I selected that. And now I will give a unique name to my resource group. Then you have to select in which region you want to create this resource group. I'm selecting the closest region for better performance. And here we go. We have our resource group. This is a simplest way to create a resource group using GUI. But you can also create resource group using CLI. So for that, you can use PowerShell or command prompt. But in that case, if you're using it on your laptop, you may have to first install the module, or you can also use the cloud shell, which is provided by Azure themselves. Here you have the option for PowerShell and your Bash terminal, both are there, and you can create resource group via command line as well. And this will be the command. That is AZ group create. Name will be test resource group. Location will be Canada Central. Now let's check this out. If you don't see it right away, give it some time. It will show up eventually. Here we go. So you can do it via CLI. You can also do it via PowerShell. So let's switch to PowerShell. The syntax will change, but the result will be same. So this will be the command. And this resource group already exists. So I can actually go back and suspend this. I can say no, or I can also change the name. So let's change the name. I'll call it Demo RG. And here we go. Wait for it. Now this is how you create a resource group. All right, now let's explore different feature set to manage resource groups. So I have a demo resource group. If I open it, here you can see on the overview dashboard page how many resources you have here. In fact, I have none, 0 resources. So let me create a resource for you. I'm just creating a virtual network. And let's move back to our resource group. And eventually, you will see all the resources inside this particular resource group over here. Here we go. The next thing is activity logs. Over here, you can check all the logs for any activity which happened in this resource group. I actually created some virtual network. I also deleted it just for the previous demos, so you can actually check all the activities. So the record is always kept, and these activities or these logs can also be downloaded if you want to present it to someone else, maybe your seniors. The next is your RBAC. This is where you assign or remove privileges or roles uh, over this resource group. And remember, these roles can be granted to a user, a group of user, or maybe a service as well. The next is tags. Here you can actually modify your tags, you can change it, or you can also add more tags if you want. The next one is pretty nice. If you have a big architecture and you want to understand that, okay, which resource is dependent on what other resources or how the structure actually looks like, you can actually create your infrastructure and then come back to Resource Visualizer where you can see a layout, a diagram. I only have one resource, so here it is, test VNet. If I create more resources, then you will be able to see it on Resource Visualizer. Plus, it also shows an arrow or a connected line if two or more resources are also connected to each other. Next is events. If you have any automation running, is that run book is currently proceeding or not, you can see all the events over here. Then your deployments will show up here. I deployed a VNet recently, so here you go. If you have more deployments, you will be able to see all the deployments over here. And if a deployment is actually not completed yet, you can also cancel the deployment or you can also redeploy that. Then here you will see the integration of Defender for Cloud for security. Then you have your deployment stacks, policies, where you can actually see how many policies are assigned to this resource group. Then the property of this resource group, where you can find out the location ID, the resource ID, and some important information like that. Plus locks. This is where you can lock your resource. It can be read-only lock or it can be delete lock as well. Now, this is pretty nice. Cost management. What if your manager asked for a report that how much money this organization already spent on the resources within this resource group? So, this is where you have to come. Here, you can analyze the cost. You can check how much you spent and during what duration, month, days, you can filter it out. You can also set cost alerts. This alert can be set at a particular threshold. That threshold can be an exact amount, or it can also be a forecasted amount. Then you can also put a hard limit, means a hard cap, that is budgets. And here you can see advices sent by Azure, means Azure will actually give you recommendations. You can read the recommendation and you can also follow the steps to actually incorporate it. The next is monitoring. This is where you can monitor your resources within this resource group. You can check the logs, you can check the matrices, you can check the inside of a machine, server, and a lot more. If you have any automation and you want a template, the ARM template, this is where you can copy the template, Remember, you can also make changes, you can edit it. And at the end, if you have any issue and you want to raise a ticket, this is where you can actually start creating a ticket which will be submitted to Azure and they will contact you.
Welcome back. I hope now you know how easy it is to create a resource group. But remember, no matter how easy it is to create one, if you have multiple resources and they're all jumbled up and you have bad naming convention, housekeeping in the future will be super difficult. So start with a fresh structure, keep it simple right from the start, from scratch. Now, to summarize, well, Azure Resource Groups help you keep your cloud environment organized, secure, and cost effective. By properly structuring your resources, using consistent naming environment or conventions, and applying tags and RBAC for security, you'll make resource management much easier or smoother for other administrators. Now, some key takeaways. Use resource group strategically to organize workloads. Apply RBAC for security. Put tags to track resources for better cost management and audit reports. Plus, plan for scalability to avoid unnecessary housekeeping in the future. All right, that's it for this episode. I will see you in the next one. Take care and happy learning.